My name is Amy Pfitzner and I'm a photographic artist of both European and Indigenous descent. I first started studying law and politics at Flinders University. However, I soon found out that that wasn't really my cup of tea. So about halfway through that, I stopped that course and I started studying visual arts at the University of South Australia, where I'm at the moment majoring in photography. I started to major in photography because initially I thought it would be drawing, but I soon found out that I couldn't really draw very well at all. So then I turned it into photography. Now that's not the only reason why I enjoy photography. I really love the storytelling abilities of photography and the potential of the photographic image. My exhibition title, Identifying Culture, is a bit of a play on words. I really enjoy playing with dual meanings and definitions of words. So to identify something is to pull it apart, to analyze it, to distinguish and classify it, but also to belong, to account, or relate to something or someone, which in itself is suggestive of a disconnect or a divide, where culture can be seen as the behaviors or beliefs characteristic of a particular social, ethnic, or age group. Or to cultivate, where to grow something in a controlled environment, such as bacteria or mold. I feel that this is a very fitting exhibition title for this work, as I'm part of a growing generation of white Indigenous Australians. And there's a very real personal feeling of disconnect and subsequent desire for reconnection to Indigenous culture. And I've done this through the platform of new media. Thus, the work shown within Identifying Culture questioned a person's identity and cultural history, an identity that is slightly obscured or hidden behind a new urban or white Indigenous perspective of place and contemporary equipment. But the works also are a bit ambiguous, so they really require you to stand in front of them and study them for a period of time to be able to break them down properly. So to further break down these images, especially the one of Indigenous ties that is just to the side of me here, which is featuring my beautiful sister as the main subject, it shows modern urban places not only as a purely physical setting, but also as an intangible space representing the displacement of identity. Issues of identity and place often go hand in hand, as place is a significant premise as it comprises the majority of someone's identity, where individuals find their knowledge and general views are made up and affected by the physical, historical, and cultural attributes of the places or lone place that they have lived. Many contemporary artists use the theme of place in response to their memory of places of specific scenes in their view. I believe that everyone can have an understanding of place in this way, as I believe everyone can have an understanding of the use of place and identity, as after all, we all come from somewhere and have our story to tell. And now we see that this particular location of this image was chosen as it's an everyday place we go to, a place of commodity and commercial convenience. The bag was chosen for the globe on the front on it, hinting at a range of contemporary issues, such as globalization, consumerism, and colonialism, through predominantly showing Australia, but also giving a glimpse to the whole world, showing that this is an issue not only for Indigenous people in Australia, but for most Indigenous cultures around the globe. The Woomera placed in the bag was a deliberate jab at place again, that many of these Indigenous artifacts can be purchased cheaply at souvenir shops, where more often than not they're made in China. The clothing and body paint also fall into this jab, both bought from Spotlight and both also made in China. The clothing also gives into childlike ideals of dressing up, as these aren't her everyday wear, but more of a stereotypical view on Indigenous dress. We can give the overall feel of Indigenous identity with these things, even when the appearance of my sister is so Western. But can it be truly brought together in this manner in order to make her feel some connection? Can we appreciate the land she is standing on more so as she is dressed this way? Can she? It also further emphasises the importance of not only Indigenous heritage, but of European heritage as well, as it goes back to that question as to where do such individuals, such as ourselves, fit in modern society. The images in the Wood Air Bathing series are a contemporary take on traditional heritage of Aboriginal art. Whilst investigating the possibilities of Indigenous art using new forms of media, such as photography, which is shown here today, these artworks also question a person's identity and cultural history, whilst also questioning for whom these artworks are for, such as with the environment in these particular pieces, and then the overall aesthetics of place. When you look at more stereotypical or traditional Aboriginal forms of art, such as the iconic dot paintings, we have knowledge now that for a majority of the time they are images of historical or spiritual places of high importance. But if you didn't know this about Indigenous art and weren't given the tools to interpret such images, you may not know. And what would you see? A collection of wonderful colours, lines, dots, etc. So in that regard, it's taken a more of an aesthetic value than anything else for such people who may not know these symbols. So whilst keeping this in mind, these collection of images in Wood Air Bathing, through these I'm trying to explore my feelings of displacement and disconnect to the land, that I am in turn trying to rediscover in my own way using my own personal aesthetics and symbols, which in turn also explores the continuous struggle Indigenous people have had in regard to land rights and acknowledgement of prior ownership and all that comes with this. Does such disconnect halt the legal effort as newer generations may not feel such a powerful connection anymore? And lastly, coming to the series on family culture, this hints to not only the scientific examination of a portrait, but attempts to directly link people back with planet Earth and the land in a beautiful, deserving sense, as I mentioned earlier, whilst also playing with those feelings of cultivating life in a controlled space. These cultures were grown from samples freely given by my family members. Whilst confronting in their appearance, they also seek to rebel against social norms and change that which is stereotypically repulsive or different in something more. By way of a portrait, not only did my family members give in essence a very piece of themselves, but gave information on everything from where they have been to what is in their bodies, directly giving new life and expanding past pure portraiture and challenges of beauty.